Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and this is Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for Monday, the 27th day of September, 2021. Well, I hope you had a good weekend. And we were busy gathering tomatoes up, and I've been drying them, so I dried the ones I could. We have to go out here in a little while and see how they did overnight, but usually we set it for about 10 hours. Seems to work really well, especially with Roma tomatoes. But I have more to do, so we'll see. I don't know. They're still ripening out there, and which I wish they were done, but they're not. So anyway, that and the carrots they're going to be harvesting. My husband brought a few more in yesterday, and we take out the bigger ones and let the other ones continue to grow, which they can do, till toward the end of October. Really, that we can let them do that. So that's what we've been doing this weekend. So I hope you've been had either a relaxing weekend or a productive one like we did, and you're ready to start the week. And we're going to do that with Sewillow. Sewillow is the rune of the sun and the rune of the will. It's an as above, so below rune. It's Kenaz that's kind of skewed both above and below. So it really illustrates the impact of the fact that we are souls infused into these bodies. And it's basically infusing our awareness with that energy. Let's see what the geomancy rune is, though. We'll throw down our 4 elemental geomancy runes and see what they have to say here. Well, looks like we've got Fortuna Major. So there we go, right there. So our greater fortune is found in soul awareness, the awareness of who we are as the creator, basically, aspects of the creator in form. Or as I like to see it, the great mother. I was just really from the stanzas of I don't know how you want to pronounce this, Dizan or Dizan, or I don't know exactly how it's pronounced, but I've heard people say it different ways, and so I'm confused. But I'm not confused as to its message and the whole concept of the Great Mother breathing out the universe, and we're resting in the Great Mother's breath until she decides to pull us all back into her loving embrace once again. I just think that that's an incredible visual, so that's kind of why I see it that way. It was really, seriously, it was that one particular stanza, if you will, from it, that just, I don't know, it solidified everything I believed into that. So let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards. They're going to be the cards of influence. And then the last 2, the first one of those will be the challenge card, what challenges us. And then the last one will be what benefits us. Typically, if there's an outcome card, it's going to be the 3rd card of the first 3. But I just like to, unless it's really obvious, I like to just keep it, as general influences. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first 3 cards. Well, we start out with 2 major arcana cards first, and followed by the 4 of swords. So we begin with the Tower. The 16th card of the major arcana. It's really a card of balance. You can almost see the scales depicted here, metaphorically, of course. But the lightning comes in and blows the lid off of things. So the light of spirit, the light of truth, clarity comes in. You see 2 people falling from the tower. But with a 7 energy, then you're really talking about balance and spirituality and magic and stepping back to get a bigger look at things, to see what the whole picture is, to really understand, both sides of the equation. The second card we begin with then is also the Fool. Card 0. This is where we take our leap into form. It's an androgynous individual, so we don't know if it's a man or a woman, a boy or a girl. With the knapsack over the shoulder, a white rose in the left hand, the dog at the individual's side. We see the sun above. We see a yellow sky. As he takes his leap into form. This is undeveloped potential. So once we blow the lid off of things and we look at both sides of the equation and we get a better understanding of what's going on, we can then take, we can make, instead of taking the leap of faith, we can really make a more reasoned decision about the facts in a sense. And from there, and no, he's not dead. We have a knight resting. But it's similar to caskets, stone caskets of that time. In medieval times, oftentimes you'll see a stone statue, essentially, of the individual inside. But here you have 3 swords here, 1 here. This is about letting your thoughts come to rest and having them be infused by spirit. The stained glass window depicts a church. And so with that, to me, it just depicts the higher awareness from soul. And so we're letting our thoughts come to rest and maybe to make a better decision about how we see things. You know, in fact, what we could do is we could move these around. And why don't we do that? Let's start again with the tower and see it this way. Here you have the truth coming in, and we're going to let things settle out and see what that is and how we see that, seeing both sides of the equation, both sides of the issue. And from there, because, you know, that could be traumatic, especially if you're talking about great change, you know, that's, in other words, if this portends great change, which it typically does, this is transformation. So, you know, you're transforming your perceptions here on how you see things. So maybe you have to have time to meditate on that. Right here with the 7 energy of the tower and the 4 energy here, we have an 11. So that's a master number of awakening and illumination, enlightenment. And from there, once we know, we can take our leap of faith, that we know where we need to go, we know what we need to do, we know what the truth is, and we can set our course and maybe in a little bit different way. So I guess we can read this then today as something is going to come into play here where it's going to blow the lid off your perceptions, basically. It's going to make them shift, or at least make you reconsider what they are. And here's the reconsideration part of it, the 4. 4 is about grounding and structure and foundation. And so consequently, when you see something as transformative as the tower, this could be fundamental values and perceptions and principles that are changing today, or at least giving you pause enough to where you can rethink what's going on. And then you're ready to take the next step, basically, into maybe a new set of experiences born from a new awareness. You know, sometimes it's tragedy. You know, maybe you lose somebody to the virus, and maybe you thought a particular way about it, and now once you see what happened to them and you see the truth of it, you can no longer look away. You know, you're transformed by that. But, you know, you still need a little bit of time to let it settle and let it really soak in, basically, and to get your perceptions going in a way that reflects that transformation. And then you're ready to maybe take a different step, go along a different path than the one you've been on. And again, you know, allowing spirit to inform that process, a higher self-awareness, an awakening of sorts, the 11 energy of it, to drive that whole process, you know, that aligns very well with Sowilo and Fortuna Major. our greatest fortune, is in a higher self-awareness. It's not money, it's not the possessions we have, although that can be nice. It's nice to have security, but our true security is in how we see things. Do we see things from a standpoint of the collective consciousness, or do we see things from the standpoint of the ego? And I think that what you're seeing play out right now overall in people's lives, even if it's just from a distance, even if in your own set of people around you, your family, your friends, maybe you all have a higher level understanding of things, and so you're not experiencing that struggle that some people are right now, trying to figure things out. Let's take a look at the challenge card. But this if it is something like that, then it's a very to walk away from the beliefs that you've had, that you may have felt so fervently about. It's difficult, and that's why I think the pause card needs to come between the Tower and the Fool. But when you see two major arcana cards in a reading, you're talking soul archetype there, and so soul is coming in and saying, hey, you need to pay attention now. It's time to pay attention. You can no longer let ego drive your experience, drive your perceptions, drive your behavior, drive your decisions. It's got to come from something higher up than that. I'm going to take the 13th card if you haven't been here before. Oh, and by the way, welcome. I have a little process that I use here when I do these readings. When I do the challenge and the benefit card, I'm going to take the 13th one for randomness sake. I swear I can shuffle these cards and come up with the same ones I had the day before. Well, the aces I put in the same category as the major arcana because they essentially contain the energy of the entire suit. And this is the suit of swords. It represents elemental air or perception, the mind, clarity, justice, reason, balance. And here we have, the challenge card is when you're thinking about it with the 4, thinking about this transformative stuff that's happened. The courage is to allow those perceptions to shift to something that's more predicated upon wholeness or the collective consciousness from where we come, from where we still are. It's not that we descend completely. It's only a piece of the oversoul that comes into the particular body you're in right now. You could have other pieces of that oversoul in other universes, in other galaxies, on other planets, in other formations. It doesn't mean that that's not happening. But what's happening right now is that a piece of that has come off and come into form. And so when you look at the Ace of Swords, you're really looking at the wholeness of it all, not the piece of it that's simply here. And so understanding that we come from spirit, and spirit awareness should be guiding what we do here. It should be, especially these days, when we're so close to ascension here. Well, not close to it. We're in the period of ascension. Well, ascension doesn't just happen when the body, dies and the soul that piece of the soul is released back into the collective. It happens with your awareness that you're spirit in these bodies, inhabiting these bodies, with the goal of transmuting ego into spirit and letting spirit guide your decisions. That's the ascension in form that we're talking about now. And that humanity is ready for. That's the other side of it. No matter what you might see going on around you, humanity is ready for this. Let's look at the last card here and see what benefits us. Well, what benefits us is we're able to leave behind emotions that no longer serve us. Now, if you take and do the numerology for these two cards, you're going to have a 9. You're going to have a 1 with the ace, and you're going to have an 8, so that's 9. 9 is about completion. It's also about spirituality and humanitarianism. So it's seeing the bigger picture, again, aligning well with both Sawillo and Fortuna Major. But here you see 8 cups, and it's almost like he represents the 9th one, almost like he took one with him. So he's going to take, but you don't see it, right? You just see his back, but you see he's ascending, and there's some rocks in the way. You see the craggy rocks that come up out of the ocean there, because this looks like they're at water's edge. The cups represents the suit of water, or rather this cups represents elemental water. It's the suit of cups. 8 is strength and material. It's also material recognition and achievement, but and let's face it, it's quite an achievement to let go of emotions that no longer serve you. Because inherent and caught up within our perception, they're typically emotion-based. They come from the emotions we feel. We then develop the perceptions surrounded. So if you are living in fear, or living in rage, or living in grievance, or whatever it is, that's a high level of emotions. That's a lot of emotions that are then governing how you see things. And so here the benefit card is that once you're able to allow the transformation to take hold and to choose the new path forward, you're able then to leave behind the emotions as well that kept you stuck there. Because I think it's less about perception that keeps us stuck in perception, but it's the emotional component to that keeps us stuck in perception. And here you're able to let go of that and to move on. And realistically, if you look at the numerology of the whole reading, it's a 1, so it's new beginnings, which aligns well then with the Fool. So maybe in your life you're going to turn a corner today, and you're going to allow the transformation to take place. You're going to give it a pause and think about it and consider everything, and then you're going to be ready to take that leap of faith, letting go of emotions that no longer serve, and to allow yourself the challenge of a new path, or a new perception, or a new set of perceptions, a new way of seeing things, in a way that maybe even involves justice, in fact, versus, the suppression of justice. So now I don't know what this says collectively about us. Maybe we're going to find out some things. I know that there were some things that came out on the weekend that may affect all of us, that may shift perception, and maybe this week we're going to see a little more of that. So over the next few days, until we meet again on Thursday and do this all over again and see, because then we're going to see if I'll write this down, and so we know what it was, and that way we can see if it's a continuation or if we're shifting again to something new. So anyhow, that's it. And think about this for the next few days. See if something that happens that transforms your perceptions. Give yourself a chance to think about it, and just see how it all settles out for you, and then take that leap of faith into what you know to be true. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll talk again Thursday. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.